Hello guys and welcome to Chengi's world. I'm loving the light here, it's giving me a glow, but I'm filming on a different app, so let's see how it goes. You guys tell me if you like the picture or not, but I'm quite liking it from what I can see. So guys, welcome to Chengi's world. If you're new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe, like and comment, and welcome, hugs, kisses, a lot of love going on from Chengi's world here from me to you. And if you are coming back as usual guys, you know how it's all. I love you guys loads. Thank you so much for following and being a part of my world. Okie dokie. Now, let's keep this party going. So today's video is about the myth called closure. I want to tell you a little bit of a story of something that happened to me just recently, very, very recently. A gentleman that I used to go out with, well, calling him a gentleman is rather kind, but you know, he is a guy that I was dating for a while, many years back now. And he was one of the few I fall in infatuation quite easily, but I just totally fell in love with this guy, like head over heels, crazy about him. It was everything I wanted, everything I needed in my mind. He treated me exactly the way I wanted a man to treat me. He was just great all around. And when I was with him, you know, that feeling when you feel complete, you know, complete. But I was totally besotted by him, and everything in his actions told me that I was wasting my time. But we all know what it's like when we've got our eye on somebody and we decide that we're emotionally connected to them. We will see what we want to see. Anyway, eventually after 2 years of realizing I'd been an absolute idiot, you know, the relationship ended, and it ended rather brutally because I only realized that it had ended when one day I was scrolling on his WhatsApp and there he was with a beautiful young lady, and they were clearly in love. And he was the sort of person who never put pictures of him with anyone. His profile was always quite boring. His social media was quite boring. There was never really anything, a dog, a cat or whatever, but this time was a real statement. And that is the only way that I knew that I had been in love alone. Okay, so I basically cried my little eyes out, went to the women that I pray with, cried my eyes out there too, cried my eyes out. I think I sat in the back of a church for weeks weeping. Okay, I was that heartbroken, but like everything else, and I'm sharing the story because I want you guys to know that when I give you guys advice and when I email you and I talk to you on this channel, I am not speaking because I went to uni and studied relationships and all manner of things. Nothing wrong with that. I am speaking from experience. I know what it feels to hurt. I know what it feels to be betrayed. I know what it feels to be used. I know what it feels like for somebody to make you feel so insignificant, so worthless, just because they're selfish and self-centered in their views of life, or just because they just don't feel about you the way that you do, and they tried to show you, but the signs were there. Their actions absolutely told you everything you needed to know, but you didn't really want to believe what you were seeing and feeling. Anyway, eventually he had to put it out there and let me know that I was not the girl for him. And from then on, I cried my tears like we all do. I don't think I've cried those kind of tears in a very long time. I really thank this guy because he taught me a lot about men. He was my chief educator, my professor. Anyway, long story short, I was just going about my business when ping, my phone goes and the vanisher returns. Hello. If you haven't seen that one, well, you're just not part of Chengi's world. So the vanisher returned. All of a sudden, he is in town, and guess who he wants to see? My first instinct was, because I'm a wise girl and I've learned too much, been through too much, to realize that you don't play with fire. But the first thing that came to me was like, no, I ain't doing that. But you're always a little bit flattered, aren't you? And of course, his relationship had broken down. He happened to be in town and he really wanted to see me. And part of me was just like, I do kind of want to see you. Kind of just to see if there's still anything there. But then, of course, I remembered the pain and I thought, once bitten, twice shy, girl. I thought about all the possible reasons that he would want to be in touch. number one, he is lonely and in the area, and we all know that guys just want to get laid, right? So why not go back to that girl that was smitten over you, regardless of how you treated her? You can just tell her a sob story about how the relationship ended and what she did to you, and her heart will melt and she'll take you back, and then you'll go back to wherever you're going and you'll forget about her and treat exactly the same way. So I'm not naive as I was when we met that many years ago. You can't really pull the wool over my eyes like you used to before. But let's say he was sincere and he genuinely felt I lost the best thing that ever happened to me. I doubt it, but let's say he was feeling that. Part of me was, you know what? I need some closure. I want to put on a pretty dress and high heels and just look my absolute stunning best and show up in my convertible, because, you know, when I was dating him, I was, you know, struggling single mom with no car, and everything was just really, and I want to show I've made it without you, man. I'm somebody now. I've done stuff. I don't need you anymore. And I was going to show up and look great and just, you know, and let him know that you didn't break me. You didn't break me, fella. You know, and that's what was my plan. And I was calling it closure. I'm going to do this for closure because I need this to be closed. I need this chapter of my life to be closed. It came at such a significant time in my life where I was at a crossroads, so unsure, and it's always perfect timing, isn't it? And I wanted this closure until I started sort of driving and talking to God. And I was sort of saying, God, but I just really, really want closure. Because I felt like God was like, no, that's called playing with fire. Because nothing good can come out of that. Either he will persuade you that, and he will give you some sob story about why it was okay for him to treat you that way and disregard you in that way, and you will believe it because you are not emotionally in a sound position as you would normally be. Or he will just say, I'm sorry, I was an idiot, and then you'll think, oh, this is honest, well, let's see what we can do out of this one. Or you will go there and realize that he wasn't sorry at all. But either way, I don't see any wins in this scenario. So you better just keep on keeping on, let him get on with his life. And if he really genuinely is interested in rebuilding something, then he will pursue it. Past him being next door and in an ideal position to get laid, which he wasn't gonna be because I'm celibate. But who wants to take that risk, huh? So, as I was sort of talking to God, God said to me, there is this myth called closure. There's so many things that we get ourselves involved in, so many tricky, really bad situations, emotionally vulnerable situations, things that are not going to turn up all right in the worst possible situations because we want closure. We want to be able to look at that person who is hurting us, who has hurt us in the past, who's rejected in the past, and say, hey, look, you did this to me. Why can you say something to me? Can you explain to me something that will make the pain of yesterday make sense to me? Can you say something that will make today's pain go away? Can you do something? But you know what? They can't. There's nothing that they can say to make it better. There's no reason. There's no rhyme and reason to their behavior. You just didn't matter. You just were not enough. They were just not into you. And they will never tell you that. They're not going to tell you that, especially if it means risking not getting laid ever again by you, closing the door on you. Men don't do that kind of thing. They will never tell you that. They will tell you what they think you need to hear in order for you to jump back in the saddle. But one thing that God said to me that was really very prolific and profound to me, and he keeps saying it to me in every stage of life that I find myself in, is, Chengi, the only true closure, wait for it, is forgiveness. Plain and simple. The only real, true, and authentic closure is forgiveness. Forgiveness is letting it go without a sorry, without an explanation. Letting it go because you need to free yourself from the hold of that person. Letting it go and freeing them and giving them the grace to be human, to make mistakes, to hurt other people. Because guess what? You've done it too. I know. I like to think of myself as a really good person that cares for people's emotions, but I've hurt people. Maybe not even consciously. But the same grace and same forgiveness and the same freedom I am allowed to have, I have to give it to other people. And I realized that the only way that I would truly ever consciously have closure is just to forgive. Closure is forgiveness. And when you and the hardest person to forgive is not the person who's saying I'm sorry and trying to make amends and calling and sending you flowers and acknowledging that they hurt you. That is an easier person to forgive. That is the sort of person we want to forgive. But is the person who isn't sorry, who isn't bothered, understanding of your hurt, who isn't trying to say I'm sorry, who is trying to get something off you again, who is trying to take something from you again. That is the hardest person to forgive. And that's where the truest, most authentic reward is. Stop chasing after some guy. I've spoken to you guys. I just want him to explain. Look, his actions have explained everything to you. Everything you will ever need to know. I'm going to record a video and I want you guys to watch it because it will explain more about what I'm talking about in terms of a man's actions. His actions have spoken. What he means to you is evident in his behavior. And what was interesting is when this guy left town, he never pinged me. I was no longer valuable. I was no longer important. I was no longer important because how he felt about me those how many years ago is simply how he felt about me now. I am nothing to him. And it took some serious realization. But I want to save you guys a lot of hassle. The only way we can move on and find true happiness and true love and invite what we deserve into our lives is when we simply come to the conclusion that closure is forgiveness. There is no closure. There is no conversation. Even if you have it in that moment, it will feel like closure, but you will walk away with more questions than you had in the beginning. So ladies, listen to Ani C, listen to your girl, listen to the Cheng. The myth called closure does not exist. You are the book. You close that chapter and you begin a fresh new one on your terms. So guys, I hope this helped and I hope that you will find it within yourself to forgive. Forgive. Let it go. Let it go. Let him go. Bless him. Pray for him. Wish him well. Wish him happiness. And move on. Because the longer you dwell here, you're stuck, you're tormented, and the person that you're supposed to be with is waiting on you to get over this test. Okay, so I hope that you guys are blessed and that this video really, really helps. Love you so much for tuning in, guys. Love you lots. And if you are new to Chengi's World, make sure you tune in and hang out with me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I look forward to seeing you guys and chit-chatting. So much going on in Chengi's World. Come and join me over there. Take care of yourself. You know I love you lots. Mwah. And don't forget to subscribe.